Who are the top 5 teams in college football going into the 2025 season? That's what this video is about. That's what we're talking about today, friends. We're going to go ahead. We're going to dive into this after I state just a couple things. With these 5 teams that I'm going to list for you today, they're my opinion, and I really think however you would choose to order these 5, you could argue that they could go in any chronological order and still make sense. I don't think there's a definitive number 1 team going into this season, so I'll lay that out right now. I really think any 5 of these teams could be argued as number 1. They could be argued as number 3, number 5, so on and so forth. There are also a couple teams that didn't make the list that are left out that I think have a valid argument as well to be in it. So with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's start with number 5, Alabama. I'm putting Alabama in this list at number 5 because I am extremely high on Kalen DeBoer. I'm high on Ryan Grubb, and I'm high on the potential that Ty Simpson has. We don't know what's in store for Ty Simpson. We don't know what he holds, but Alabama is loaded with so much 4- and 5-star talent. Kalen DeBoer is a proven winner. He's done it at every level. He did it at Washington, and I think last year was almost what he needed. I think last year was a good hurdle for him to face in his career. You could still argue that his coaching career is young, at least in the sense of FBS football, and obviously Alabama, considering it's only year 2. But I think Alabama is at least the 5th best team in college football this year. They have the 10th toughest schedule in the country, which is concerning. It's not easy, but when you're in the SEC, it's almost inevitable you're going to have that tough of a schedule regardless. The beauty of it, though, is Alabama has 14 returning starters. So we previewed the Alabama-Florida State game on my channel already and dove a little bit deeper into the statistics behind this Alabama team. So I'm not going to dive too far in, but having the depth at receiver that they do with Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, they bring in Isaiah Horton as well. I think there's so much to look forward to on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we already talked about some talent that they're bringing back. So that is why I'm putting Alabama at number 5. Now moving to number 4, the Clemson Tigers. This one, I wanted to move around a little bit. I thought maybe I could put them higher, maybe not. Clemson's going to be good. I really think they're going to bounce back this year. I think what Dabo needed was a little bit of a wake-up call, and I think Clemson's got that over these last couple years. It hasn't really been what they've wanted. The success to their standard has not been there at all. Last year, they make the playoffs. They compete extremely well against Texas. They played a great football game. Now, they came up short. However, Clemson returns a ton of talent. Cade Klubnik is back year 3 with Garrett Riley. We did a season preview, on the Clemson Tigers on my channel already. So kind of the same thing. I'm not going to dive too crazy into this one. If you want to go check that video out, go check it out. But all things considered, Clemson brings back tons of talent offensively. However, the running back room will be a question. That's why I don't have them too high. I'm a little nervous on the running back room. They do bring in the number 3 overall running back recruit. So we'll see what kind of production they get out of that. I think there's going to be a couple of guys that are going to get a lot of nods at the running back spot and get a lot of production, carries, all that good stuff. However, I'm not too nervous about the offense. The defense, I'm really not too nervous about either. I think Clemson probably has arguably the best defensive line in all of FBS football this year. And then you factor that in on top of Tom Allen being brought in to coach this team. Clemson's going to be really good. I think they're a top 5 team. They only have the 40th toughest schedule in college football. So really the biggest benefit to Clemson is they have a pretty workable schedule outside of week 1 against LSU, which is a blessing because not only do we get to see who they really are, if I'm blowing smoke or if they're actually going to be a top 5 team in that first game of the year. If LSU wins, of course, then LSU has the argument, well, we're a top 5 team. And if they do, I think they absolutely are. They were definitely one of my honorable mentions. But anyways, back onto Clemson. Outside of that LSU game, there's a couple other testers, but the schedule is really not that bad. Clemson's at the mercy of being able to be favored in almost every game they play up until the playoffs. That can help you stay healthy. That can help you gain confidence. That can help you ease into finding your rhythm come later in the season when it matters most. Alrighty, let's move on to number 3, the Texas Longhorns. Now listen, I teetered with the idea of having Texas higher, but on the same token, like I stated in the beginning of the video, you can really move these teams around in any order. So let's talk about why I have Texas at 3, and then I'll get into why I don't have them at least at 1 or 2, which I know lots of people do. Wisner's back. It's Arch Manning's team. Sarkisian's there. Texas is the number one FPI team on ESPN per ESPN's FPI analytics. They're loaded from top to bottom with so much talent. It's incredible. Texas's schedule, though, is no joke. They do have a tough schedule this year, but their defense returns almost the whole secondary. They have a lot of... Michael Taft is back. Both their corners are back. They're going to be good defensively. They added to that defensive line. Although they've lost a lot off the defensive line, they've added a lot to it. They have speed. They have size. They have everything you need to be a championship team, and they've come so close. I think the biggest question mark that everyone's asking, myself included, is what does that offense and Arch Manning look like? That question doesn't scare me too much with a coach like Steve Sarkisian, who's an offensive guru. So, again, I'm not worried as much about Texas. I just don't think there's enough answers already for them to be my number one team, but they're absolutely a top 3 team. In my eyes, I look forward to seeing what the Horns do this year. Let's move on to number 2, Penn State. Now, I almost had Penn State at number 1. I didn't quite put them at number 1. Again, interchangeable, absolutely valid for any of these 5 teams. But Penn State also is going to be loaded. Drew Aller is back. Katron Allen is back. Nick Singleton's back. We've said this a million times. Everybody knows it. But the beauty of Penn State, talking about those guys, they're on offense. Trevor Pena is there. Devontae Ross is there. And Kyron Hudson is there. All 3 of these guys transfer into Penn State. If you didn't know, Penn State's receiving room last year was a huge problem for this team. That was one of the big holdbacks they had. This year, they go out, they fix it, at least on paper. We'll see what happens come game time. But I can't imagine those 3 guys not producing the way Penn State hopes they can. And that Notre Dame loss in the playoff game, Penn State did not have a single receiver with a catch. Unbelievable to think that that's even possible. So to get these 3 guys offensively, plus the production they already have returning, Penn State's offense is going to be good. Andy Kotelnicki will utilize every single one of these guys. That's a dangerous unit. I think Penn State could be one of the best offenses in the Big Ten on paper with everything they have and led by Andy Kotelnicki. Defensively, Penn State goes out and spends $3.1 million on Jim Knowles. Now, Jim Knowles was the defensive coordinator at Ohio State last year. He wins a national championship. He now comes to Penn State. This was a defense that was good last year. They were very, very good. Under Tom Allen, who's now at Clemson, like we said, they were an incredible unit. They come and get Jim Knowles, they go and get Jim Knowles. They bring him in. All the pieces to the puzzle are there for Penn State. They have the 27th toughest schedule in college football. So again, they're at the same mercy of Clemson, where they really don't have the toughest schedule. They have a road game against Ohio State this year, which won't be easy. They play Oregon at home in a whiteout. Those are their 2 biggest games. Outside of that, they have some testers within the Big Ten, but nothing that Penn State wouldn't be favored in nor shouldn't be favored in. And I would almost argue Penn State, outside of maybe the Ohio State game, will probably be favored in at least 11 of their 12 regular season games. So I have Penn State at number 2. Number 1, last but not least, the Georgia Bulldogs, led by none other than Kirby Smart. This one, I sat on this one for a while, man. I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to put Georgia at number 1. And the only reason I say that is because last year just felt so out of the norm. It almost made you forget how dominant Georgia really was. Like, I think a lot of people that are going to disagree with me putting them at number 1, it's going to kind of come from this place of we were so used to seeing Georgia just be consistently dominant every single game, every single year, for the last how many years now, that this one little bump in the road that Georgia had last year, and the same goes for Bama as well. A lot of people are already writing these teams off like Texas is the new sheriff in town and Georgia's gone, Bama's gone. That to me just doesn't feel like the case. Matter of fact, Georgia beat Texas twice last year, and then Bama beat Georgia, right? So the SEC was all over the place last year. But talking about 2025, I do think Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football. I think Georgia is one of the best coached teams all the way around, from top to bottom on that staff and all of college football. I am not too certain what to expect out of Gunnar Stockton, okay? But here's why I still put Georgia at number 1, because I thought the same exact thing way back when. I say that like it was forever ago, but just a couple years back really at this point, with Stetson Bennett. When Stetson Bennett took the starting job, I thought, there's no way. This team's not going to be that good. Yeah, they're littered with 4- and 5-star talent, and they're deep at every single position on the field, but apparently not at quarterback because Stetson Bennett. And sure enough, Stetson Bennett almost deserves a statue on that campus. He won 2 national championships. So what's to say that Gunnar Stockton couldn't still be that for Georgia? They get Noah Thomas at the receiver position. They get Zechariah Branch, who, in my opinion, was one of the biggest weapons on the portal market. Georgia goes and gets him. Defensively, Georgia's stacked. They do have the 8th toughest schedule, but again, it's the SEC. We expect this. We know this. Here's one little hiccup with Georgia that I'm a little concerned about. They only have 7 returning starters, so not an incredible number of returning starters. They obviously lost a good amount, but Georgia does this every year. They lose how many guys to the NFL? They come and get some of the top recruiting classes. They get great portal classes. I just think Kirby Smart is going to have this team back to playing at a level that we were used to watching them. And I say that because I think Georgia, not even think, I know Georgia is loaded with talent at every position. They're big, they're fast, and they are coached extremely well. They have a workable schedule. It works in their favor well in terms of traveling. They get Bama at home in I guess it would be week 5, the 4th game of the year, whatever week that falls. I want to say they get a bye week, right? Or, excuse me, Alabama gets that bye week. I don't know if Georgia gets the bye week before that game. But nonetheless, that's my top 5. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I also want to thank you guys so very much for 300 subscribers. That means so much to me. I cannot wait to keep growing, keep producing content. Do me a favor, guys. Comment. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know how you would rank them. If I'm missing any teams, absolutely tell me why and who I'm missing. Also, if you guys wouldn't mind, shoot some comments of any video ideas that you guys have. It would be much appreciated. I'm just itching for the season to start, so just trying to pump out as much good content that you guys would prefer to watch and enjoy watching. So with that being said, once again, thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Later.